Thanks for joining me. What I'm about to show you could be a game changer for your agency, particularly if you're struggling to get past 20 to 40K months. What we're going to look at is a powerful paid client acquisition strategy. Before we get started, I wanted to talk about the 4 big money pits in any service-based business, particularly agencies. What are these 4 big money pits? Productivity and efficiency, so that's in getting the job done. Undercharging or having low profit service offerings, client acquisition, and client retention. Now, what we cover today will help you to gain control over 3 of these potential money pits. What I'm presenting is a paid auditing system. So going from doing free proposals and free audits to doing $1,500 paid audit and proposals. And we do this in a really particular way, which adds profit building recurring revenue. So what we're going to cover today is the true cost of unpaid proposals, why the brand Diagnostic works, how to pitch and land diagnostic sessions, and what's included in the diagnostic toolkit. We'll also look at how to use the diagnostic to increase retainers and keep clients for longer. I'll also walk through a few case studies as well. So who am I? I've built 2 7-figure agencies over the last 9 years. I have 25 years, in fact, much more than 25 years in marketing and project management. I'm a single mum of 3 girls, 8, 13 and 15, and I built a 20+ teamed agency. We were generating between 100 to 200K a month with a business partner. In 2022, we found ourselves with absolutely zero profit, despite the amount of revenue that we were generating. I had huge levels of stress and we were losing clients really quickly. I was deeply unhappy and so were my team. And I lost sight of why I started in the first place, which was to spend more time with my kids. What I needed was an agency that was really built for profit and was profit focused. So I said goodbye to my business partner and I rebuilt my agency on my own from scratch. This became what I call the upside down agency. So we became less top heavy and more fractional or outsourced CMO. We switched from having account managers working with clients to CMOs working with clients. I slowed down client acquisition and I eliminated unpaid audits and proposals completely. I increased client retainers and I got very specific on the clients that we work with. I also implemented a money mindset routine and I kept my team really small. I automated everything like crazy and I increased strategic conversations with clients. And I found and reduced any of the money pits we had in the business and added a lot of recurring revenue. This resulted in now having between 40 and 60% profit consistently. And I'm completely in love with my business. My business works for me and not the other way around. I love my clients and my team, and I absolutely leap out of bed to go to work in the morning. But I also take off every Friday and I work when and where I want, which is the dream, right? Let's say you're taking in 2 to 4 leads per week. And if you have a salesperson, you can probably double or triple that. Each audit you do takes approximately 2 to 3 hours minimum. Each proposal, if you do actually send them, can take 1 to 2 hours minimum as well. Even if you don't do either, a sales call in itself can be 2 hours worth of prep. And all of this can end up being 20 hours a week of unpaid work. Now, for a solo agency owner, that can be completely crippling. Even for a bigger agency, that's $8,000 a month of lost revenue. That's if you close half of those leads that you're taking in, you're losing 10 hours a week. And if you charge out at $200 or more, that's around 8K a month. Let's say a client or a prospect has 3 or 4 other agencies they're talking to at the time. In the time it takes to execute an unpaid audit and proposal, you could potentially lose the client as well. Plus, you're tying up resources internally to do the audit. And you open up the sales team to potentially misinterpret audit results and oversell. In our agency, our sales team would bring back vetted leads for myself and our ad specialists to do an audit. We would come back with key issues and recommendations. The salesperson would turn these into a winning pitch, but it was a little bit like Chinese whispers. They would come in saying, we can change the world for you. And they would often lose the context or overpromise. So things that the sales team missed were really understanding how the client works with an agency. Is it someone we really want to work with? They missed really understanding the projections and the potential blockers, and they missed asking really deeper questions to find some of the barriers. They also missed the opportunity to find low-hanging fruit for quick wins. This is really important for keeping clients for longer. They missed pitching realistic timelines, and they also missed a chance for the operations team to start building a stronger relationship with the client. What happens when a salesperson works directly with the prospect, they often build a relationship which is hard to transfer over to the operations team. So why does the paid diagnostic system work? As Oprah Winfrey says, when you undervalue what you do, the world will undervalue who you are. And that's true. People tend to value what they pay for more than what they get for free. Plus, a smaller purchase lowers the psychological barrier to future purchases. So once they've paid for the diagnostic, it's more likely they'll then convert to a retainer. For us, this is actually 100%. And it builds a case for locked-in contracts. They give you a much better view of the client than a free audit. So you're able to spend more time auditing and going into historical analysis, as well as talking to the client. You find out and eliminate barriers that the client might have, where a sales call, the client might not open up. You find the low-hanging fruit and you bridge that gap between sales and operations, which builds trust in the team. And you're able to build a better suite of services that are more likely to get results faster. So an example, we had a prospect that had struggled previously to even get above a 2 times ROAS. My audit team identified that audiences and creative were vastly untested and the product position was incorrect. So basically they sold a luxury beach bag. Now, this beach bag was actually something that was being used by people for travel. We found that by looking at all the reviews and the post-purchase feedback. We forecasted a 3-month turnaround, but only if the client was on board to make all of the changes that we needed to make to reposition the product. The sales team pitched the forecast, but failed to emphasize or effectively walk through this huge change to their business. It took us a month to fully convince them to map out the change. And now at the end of 2 months, we were still switching out and testing the message. By the end of 3 months, we'd only just begun to see small results. Now, the client left at the end of 5 months, but had we communicated effectively at the very start, things may have been different. So how do you land and pitch diagnostic sessions? So what we do is we target business owners struggling with inconsistent branding, poor message, or ineffective marketing. We emphasize the return on investment, so how the diagnostic will uncover blind spots, highlight growth opportunities, and provide actionable insights. Now, we use scarcity and urgency, so frame it as an exclusive or time-sensitive offer. Only 5 spots available this month, as an example. Now, get them to book a brand clarity call rather than selling the diagnostic outright. So we diagnose 1 to 2 key brand issues on that initial call and kind of tease the full solution. We offer the low-cost, no-commitment brand diagnostic in this first brand clarity call with crucial insights. And we tell them the cost is a rebate against future work with us. So that $1,500 comes off their first month's retainer. Now, we've done most of the onboarding work at this point, so it's no loss to us. We also pitch that it's cheaper than diving into a full retainer, which we find is very competitive in the market. On the first brand clarity call, we send them a payment link with that time-sensitive offer. So how does the actual brand diagnostic work? Now, we start with the sales call, which is what we just talked about. Then we send them, once they've actually paid the $1,500, we send them the automated questionnaire. Now, that is an email with a form requesting access to systems and data. We then start the historical evaluation. So we review accounts, data, and we do the full audit. It's usually 1 to 2 hours, pinpointing the low-hanging fruit and the longer tail goals that we're going to pitch during the workshop. We set up that 1 hour workshop, which is really a strategy session and a pitch session to really introduce the client or the prospect into our business. And now our goal is to get really deep on their goals and prepare them to understand some of the gaps they may already have and start building their excitement for growth. Once we've done the workshop, we go away and build our case. So we look at the audit, the forecast, and we expand on the ideas already presented. We build out a 6 to 12 month strategy and identify the gaps. We also align that with our 3, 6, or 12-month contract. Finally is the brand diagnostic pitch. So it's a 1 hour session where we're going to talk to them about the forecast and what we plan to do with them in that long-term partnership. So what's actually covered in it? We look at a gap analysis. We look at goal setting. So we're aligning our retainer now and into the future as well. We look at audience and customer deep dive, customer reviews, which are incredibly important for identifying gaps. We look at competitor analysis, key messaging and value proposition, funnel and offer building, objection handling, forecast, and budget as well. So we use the diagnostic to create recurring revenue. Now it helps us to pitch this 3, 6, or 12-month contract. So how do we do that? We do that by introducing the retainer as a solution. So to ensure we maximize the impact of your strategy, we're going to work on a 3, 6, or 12-month contract. We frame it as a partnership, not a contract. So think of us as your external CMO, like an employee focused on making sure your brand thrives month after month. We show the value over time, so break down what they get each month, brand strategy, refinement, messaging updates, content direction, quarterly brand audits, and we show the return on investment from similar clients as well. We make it flexible and low cost, so we offer 3 or 6 month options instead of pushing the full 12-month contract right away. And we'll add a 30-day opt-out clause to ease concerns. So overcoming some of the objections, such as we don't have the budget, you can say something like, I get that. What if we start with a lower tier package and scale up as you see results? It could be that they're not ready for a long-term commitment. No problem, let's start with a 90-day sprint. Most of your forecasting and budgeting will be done in 90-day sprints anyway. They might say, can't we just do this in-house? Of course, but hiring an internal brand strategist would cost you likely triple or double what we're offering here, while a retainer provides expert guidance at a fraction of that cost. Now, how do we use the brand diagnostic to retain clients? Aside from the locked-in contracts, we also use the diagnostic tool as a planned workshop every 3 to 6 months, and that's on top of our weekly or fortnightly meetings, where we're really focused on the next big move and challenging their thinking. We look at what has been working and why, and we deep dive into whether their goals have changed now that we've started getting them more revenue or leads. We look at what big tactics will get them where they want to be. And this is how we scaled a client from 50K a month to 1 million in 18 months. And we increased our retainer from 8K to 30K. So let's look at that case study. We have an outdoor furniture brand. For 12 months, my team were unable to get the client to increase spend, despite getting a 5 times return on ad spend. We would have weekly conversations, but no one on the team was able to convince him. We tried 3 account managers and our sales manager as well. The client had many reasons, but the major one was the impact on his retailers. So he was concerned with being seen as competing with them. He was also not confident we could maintain results. So the game changer, we did a workshop session and deep audit, the same as what's in the brand diagnostic. We found that barrier to his decision, which was the fear of losing his retailers, and we focused all of our research on this. We forecasted it in comparison to his retailers' data and found a potential parallel between our ad spend and increases in their results. We asked for more budget, we tested this, and we proved our hypotheses. This gave him more confidence in what we were doing. We gained greater trust by including our retainer costs in the forecast. So we switched from ROAS to MER, which is marketing efficiency ratio, and we ended up becoming the client's most valuable player. As revenue increased, we were able to add 20K of retainer services to support this growth. Last year, we did 5 million in revenue, and we're set for 12 million this year. And we've now won the trust of the global company. So what is the Brand Diagnostic Toolkit? We offer the Brand Diagnostic Toolkit with everything that you need to run these auditing sessions for just $97. So what's included? We've got the workshop process and templates, all of the email sales scripts and call scripts. We've got the historical auditing tools, the brand assessment system, client scorecard and onboarding checklist, a competitor analysis tool, and the full forecasting budget and budgeting tool that we use. Plus, you'll get access to a community support group as well. You can grab the Brand Diagnostic Toolkit in the link below.